Welcome to my kitchen. I always like to have veggie burgers on hand in my freezer. And because, as I've said in so many of my previous videos, batch cooking is the name of the game. I make a lot of them at once. And today I'd like to share with you my favorite black bean burger. The basic recipe is from Dr. Michael Greger's How Not to Die cookbook. But I've put my own spin on it. So I'd like to share that with you today. First of all, his recipe is, the whole recipe makes 4 burgers. And I think they're too big. They're just a little unwieldy, and that's not my preference, so I make them smaller. So instead of making 4 burgers, I make 8. But the caveat with that is, once they're great out of the oven, but once they've been frozen and reheated in the microwave, they get a little dried out. So it needs some extra moisture. So I'll show you how I add extra moisture. And then I do something a little different with the spices. So, and I'll show you that too. So before we get started, I want to remind you that I've used a whole food plant-based diet plus mindful eating to lose 90 pounds. And I came up with a process that, a 6-point program that I would like to share with you. And I've written it up in a free ebook that is 6 strategies for permanent weight loss. And you'll find a link to it in the description box below. So now let's get cooking. The first thing I do to add a little extra moisture is I grate red beets. It's just raw red beet, skin and all, and I do that on just a regular old box grater. I do have a food processor attachment that grates, but I think it makes it too coarse. I like the finer grate, and because you only need a cup, it doesn't take that long to grate by hand. What I do is I'll grate my red beets and a cup of red beet and set it aside. Then start by putting, and you do need a food processor for this. I've tried doing it in the blender and it doesn't work. It's too hard to get out of the blender once you've got it all pureed. So we've got a cup of whole oats here, and those are old-fashioned oats, and a half a cup of walnuts. If you're using turmeric root, whole turmeric, put it in here. If not, I'm using dried, so it'll wait. Don't skip this step. I forgot it once and regretted it. You need to grind up the oats and the walnuts before you put all the other ingredients in, or you will have a gloppy mess. Doesn't take much. So, next thing, half a cup of red onion. The recipe does call for 1/3 of a cup of mushrooms, and well, I did have mushrooms, or I thought I did, but when I got them out of the refrigerator, I had them in a paper bag, and unfortunately something spilled on the paper bag and it was wet, and they didn't look good, so I stuck them in the compost. And there just won't be any mushrooms in these burgers this round. So, okay. So, the next thing is 2 tablespoons of almond butter, 2 teaspoons of white miso, a tablespoon of flax seeds, and a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, a can of black beans, drained and rinsed. So the spices are where I differ from the recipe. Dr. Grecker's recipe says use fresh parsley. I don't have any at the moment. So I'm using just a teaspoon of dried parsley, a teaspoon of sweet paprika because I don't like smoked paprika, quarter teaspoon of dried turmeric powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of onion powder. That just all goes in. Now, where I also differ is Dr. Greger, sorry guy, but I don't like your savory spice blend. I like my own savory spice blend, or I call it savory spice mix. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I use this a lot. I use it in salad dressings, I use it in mashed potatoes, I use it in my celebration loaf. I like this. I make it in a big container and then just keep it on my spice rack. I'll put the recipe for it below. Take just a tablespoon of generous teaspoon of this and add it to my mix. Now, the other thing that you're going to need is a little bit of water. Let's put this on. Just dribble in little bits of water as needed. In this case, I added about 2 tablespoons. So I've blended this. It's pretty smooth, you can see, but if you look carefully, oops, there's a piece of onion that didn't get blended, but that's okay. So you can still see some chunks, but not too much. Now is the time. I'm going to add my cup of grated red beets. And mix that in. Now, my oven is preheating to 375, and I have a baking tray here that is lined with some parchment paper. And what I have is a third of a cup measure. And essentially, you take the mixture and put it in the third of a cup, and with a silicone spatula, just pull it out and put it down on the... And I don't worry about forming it into a burger at the moment. I will wait until I've got them all out, and then I'll flatten them all at once. There's the last burger. And now, all I need to do is just pat them a little bit to get them looking like burgers. So now the burgers are ready to go into the oven, and they will bake at 375 for half an hour. Here's the finished product. And you see, they hold together very nicely. However, I wouldn't put them on a grill. I don't think they'll hold together that well. But time for dinner. Burgers. Dr. Greger's Black Bean Burgers with a twist. If you like this video and think you'll try this burger, please give it a thumbs up. And while you're at it, subscribe to my channel. If you click on the bell, you'll get a notification every time I upload a new video. And remember, I've put together an ebook, 6 Strategies for Permanent Weight Loss, and you'll find a link in the description box where you can download it for free. Thanks for watching.